What up, what up? Welcome back to Spell Table Splits. I know it's been a while since we put out a last video, but between school and work, I hadn't had that much time to play games of Commander, but we are back and we got ourselves a good episode today. I'll be doing a collab with Ashley. She's another MTG content creator and she runs the channel MTG. She puts out regular arena content and has a running series called Good Clean Commander that I definitely recommend you check out. It's always good vibes and she's an amazing person. So go check the channel out. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. Also, I'd like to thank everyone watching who subscribed as we make our way to 200 subs. That's right, we're about to hit that big 200 milestone. So look out for the giveaway once we cross that threshold. I hope everyone's having a good holiday. So let's talk about the commanders you'll be seeing today. Now I'll be playing my Volo deck, which is a Simic creature POW of value. Bear is going to be playing Morophon, the big bear tribal. He's going to be trying to cast 2/2s, pump them up, and swing out at the table. Ashley's going to be playing her Illuna mutate deck, looking to cascade and make her commander a big amalgamated creature that deals a crap ton of commander damage. And then lastly, Fate is going to be playing the partner pairing of Cazur and Ukima. He's going to be looking to put counters on his creatures, making them unblockable, and again, dealing combat damage. So we got a combat focused meta today. You know what the commanders do? Without further ado, let's take it to the table. I start my turn by playing Command Tower and passing. Bear plays Command Tower and casts Phantasmal Bear, passing his turn from there to Ashley. Ashley will play Catcher Triome. Fate plays a Vine Glimmer Snarl, revealing a forest from hand so that it comes in untapped, passing his turn over to me. I'll play a forest and pass from there. Bear plays his Snow-Covered Plains and moves to combat, attacking me for 2 damage, claiming that attacking me is just the right thing to do. From there, he'll pass the turn. Ashley's gonna play a Spire Garden, then she'll cast a Scavenging Ooze, allowing her to eat up graveyards for the cost of 1 mana. Fate plays a forest, and then he'll pass the turn over to me. I'm gonna start by playing an island, and then I'll cast Cultivate, searching for an island and a forest. The island I'll put into play tapped, and the forest will go to my hand. After that, I pass the turn. Bear is gonna start by playing another Snow-Covered Plains, then he'll tap 3 to cast Rumor Gatherer. From there, he'll move to combat and attack Fate for 2 damage. Fate takes the 2, and he'll pass the turn from there. Ashley's gonna play a Stomping Grounds as her land for turn, and then she'll pass the turn. Fate plays an island, and then he suspends a Deep Sea Kraken. It'll enter with 9 counters on it. He removes 1 counter at the beginning of his upkeep and whenever any of his opponents cast a spell. From there, he'll pass it over to me. I'm gonna start my turn by tapping out and casting my commander, Volo, Guide to Monsters. Then I'll play a forest, and Fate will remove a counter from his Kraken. From there, I'll pass the turn. Bear plays a Snow-Covered Forest, moves to his combat step, and attacks Fate with his 2/1 Rumor Gatherer and Ashley with his 2/2 Bear, both of which take the damage. That'll end his turn. Ashley starts by playing a forest and casting Questing Beast, which will have Fate removing a counter from the Kraken. Then she moves to combat and attacks Bear with Questing Beast for 4 and Fate with Scavenging Ooze for 2. With no blocks, they both take the damage and she passes the turn from there. Fate plays a forest and then casts Harrow, choosing to sacrifice his tapped forest. This will let him search his library for 2 lands and put them into play. He gets an island and a swamp, then casts one of his commanders, Ukima Stalking Shadow. After that, he'll pass the turn up to me and remove a counter from his Kraken from his upkeep trigger. I'll start my turn by casting Lotus Cobra, allowing me to generate a floating mana whenever I play a land. And because Volo is out, I'll get 2. Thanks, Volo. Then I'll cast Oro, Titan of Nature's Wrath, and I'll get a copy, again thanks to Volo. Both Oro will die, but I'll be able to gain 6 life, draw 2 cards, and put 2 lands into play. I play Rhinewood Falls tapped and a forest. Thanks to my Lotus Cobras, I'll have 4 floating mana, which I use to cast Beast Whisperer, and Volo will copy it, giving me 2. After setting up a pretty good engine on my side of the board, I pass the turn. Bear starts by playing a Snow-Covered Swamp and casts Reflections of Litjara, naming bears, allowing him to copy any bear spell he casts. After this, he passes the turn, and we might be seeing that Kraken very soon. Ashley plays an island and then pays 1 mana into a Scavenging Ooze to exile my Oro, giving Scavenging Ooze a +1/+1 counter, gaining 1 life. Then she moves to combat and attacks me with Questing Beast. I choose not to block and take the 4 damage. From there, she'll pass the turn. Fate will start his turn by removing a counter from Lake Kraken, leaving it with only 1 counter left. Then he plays a forest and casts his other commander, Cazur, Ruthless Stalker. From there, he'll move to combat and send 2 damage at bear. Thanks to Cazur, he'll put a +1/+1 counter on Ukima after it dealt damage. Then he'll pass the turn over to me. I'm going to go ahead and cast a Consecrated Sphinx, allowing me to draw 2 cards whenever an opponent draws 1, and thanks to Volo, I'll have another. Ashley responds by casting Resculpt, understandably targeting my commander, exiling Volo and giving me a 4/4 elemental. That cast will remove the last counter from Fate's Kraken, bringing it into play. Then I'll draw my 2 cards thanks to the Beast Whisperer twins. I'll play an island for turn, giving me 2 floating mana thanks to the Lotus Cobra twins. Then I'll cast Garruk's Uprising, giving all of my creatures trample and letting me draw a card. Then I'll pass the turn. When Bear draws, I'll go ahead and draw 4 cards thanks to the Consecrated Sphinx twins. He plays a snow-covered island, and then he'll cast Crib Swap on my Consecrated Sphinx. And because it's a shapeshifter instant, it's also a bear. And because it's a bear, Reflections of Litjar will trigger, giving him a copy, and that copy will target my other Consecrated Sphinx. That'll give me 2 1/1 shapeshifters. After that, he'll go ahead and pass the turn. Ashley's going to start by playing a River Glide Pathway, then she'll tap out and mutate her commander, Illuna, Apex of Wishes, onto Scavenging Ooze. This lets her exile cards from the top of her library until she hits a non-land permanent, and she can choose to put that permanent onto the battlefield or into her hand. She hits Souvenir Snatcher, which she chooses to put into her hand. She'll go ahead and move to combat and attack me for 7 commander damage. I take the damage and she'll pass the turn. Fate plays a swamp and then casts Ranger's Path, letting him search for 2 forests and put them both into play tapped. Then he'll cast Hagra Constrictor. It enters with a +1/+1 counter, and it gives all of his creatures that have +1/+1 counters Menache. He moves to combat attacking Ashley with the unblockable 6-power Kraken, and Bear with his 3/3 commander again. From there, he'll pass it over to me. I'm going to start my turn by recasting my commander, Volo, Guide to Monsters. Then I'll play a forest, gaining 2 floating mana from the Lotus Cobra twins. After that, I cast Prosperous Innkeeper, and I'll make a copy thanks to Volo. Because of the shapeshifter tokens I have, Volo's ability should not be triggering, so this is a misplay. Then I'll cast Scoot Swarm, making a copy of it from Volo, again, misplay. Then I'll move to combat and attack Ashley with a 4/4 elemental that she gave me. After that, I'll move to discard and pass the turn. Bear is going to start by casting Icon of Ancestry, naming, you guessed it, Bears, giving all of his bears +1/+1. Then he'll pay 3 to activate Icon of Ancestry's ability. He doesn't find a bear, and he passes it from there. At his end step, I'll cast Reality Shift to remove Ashley's commander, and she'll get to manifest the top card of her library. Ashley's going to start her turn by playing a Bark Channel Pathway, moving to combat and sending the Questing Beast over to me for 4 damage. I can't block it, so the damage goes through. After that, she'll pass the turn. Fate is going to start by playing a Marriott Landscape, then he'll cast Death Sprout targeting my Scoot Swarm, and he'll get to search for a swamp and put it into play tapped. Then he moves to combat and attacks me with his commander for 4 damage. On his end step, Ashley is going to cast Cyclonic Rift Overloaded, making everyone pick up all of their permanents. Fate's going to send 5 damage over to Bear's face, and then gain 5 life. I'm going to start my turn by casting my commander, Volo, Guide to Monsters. Then I'll cast Lotus Cobra, getting a copy thanks to Volo. Thanks Volo. From there, I'll play Reliquary Tower as my land, then use that 2 mana to recast Prosperous Innkeeper, again getting a copy thanks to Volo. After that, I'll cast Beast Whisperer, making a copy thanks to Volo and gaining 2 life thanks to the Prosperous Innkeeper twins. From there, I'll pass the turn. Bear is going to start by playing a Path to Ancestry as his land. Then he'll deploy his Rumor Gatherer back out onto the field. Then he'll redeploy his Phantasmal Bear. Thanks to Rumor Gatherer's trigger, he'll scry 1, leaving it on top. After that, he'll pass the turn. Ashley's going to start by tapping out and casting Old Gnawbone. Then she'll move to combat and attack Fate for 6 damage, which he can't block, so he'll take the 6 damage and she'll make 6 treasures. Then she uses 5 of those treasures to cast Orabrask the Hidden, giving all of her creatures haste and making all of our creatures enter the battlefield tapped. Fate is going to cast Windgrace's Judgment to destroy one of each of his opponent's permanents. He chooses to destroy Ashley's Old Gnawbone, one of my Lotus Cobras, and Bear's Phantasmal Bear. Then he starts his turn. He's going to start his turn by tapping out and hard casting the Deep Sea Kraken we all saw earlier. It'll enter the battlefield tapped thanks to Ashley's Urabrask. Then he'll pass the turn over to me. I'm going to start my turn by playing a forest. From there, I'll cast the Saddest Return of the Wildspeaker to draw myself 2 cards. After that, I'll move to combat and attack Fate with my Prosperous Innkeepers and their surviving Lotus Cobra twin. Then, I'll move to end step, where Bear is going to cast Raise the Draugr, choosing to return his Phantasmal Bear to his hand, and then he'll start his turn. He'll start his turn by casting Icon of Ancestry, again, naming bears. After that, he'll cast Wilson, Refined Grizzly, which will come into play tapped thanks to the Urabrask on Ashley's side of the field. He'll scry from the Rumor Gatherer, leaving it on top. Then he'll recast his Phantasmal Bear, drawing thanks to his Rumor Gatherer. Then he'll pass a turn. On his end step, I'm going to overload a Cyclonic Rift of my own before Ashley can untap. After everyone picks up their things, Ashley's going to untap and start her turn. She's going to start her turn by playing a Fabled Passage and trash scanning it to go fetch an island. Then she's going to cast Questing Beast, really emphasizing just how much blue mana she's holding up. After that, she moves to combat. She attacks me with Questing Beast. I choose not to block and take the 4 damage. After that, she's going to pass a turn. Fate's going to start his turn by casting Keeper of Fables. After that, he casts Blight Mamba, giving him a 1/1 Infect Critter. From there, he's going to pass it over to me. I'm going to start by playing a Flooded Grove as my land. Then I cast Panharmonicon, allowing me to double all of my ETB triggers from creatures and artifacts. Then I cast a Myr Battlesphere, which will trigger Volo, giving me a copy. Thanks Volo. The copy will ETB along with 8 Myr creature tokens, thanks to Panharmonicon, doubling its ETB. This will trigger the Prosperous Innkeeper twins twice, thanks to Panharmonicon, allowing me to gain 4 life per creature entering the battlefield, for a total of 36 life. Then the original Myr Battlesphere is going to ETB, and I get to do it all over again for another 36 life. This brings my life total up to 95. Bear is going to start his turn by playing a Snow-Covered Mountain. Then he'll cast his commander, Morophon the Boundless, naming, say it with me, bears of course. Then he's going to cast Phantasmal Bear for the 4th time? I lost count. Then he's going to recast Wilson, Refined Grizzly, and pass the turn over to Ashley. Ashley starts by playing a Breeding Pool tapped. Then she's going to tap out to cast her commander, Illuna, Apex of Wishes, targeting Questing Beast. Fate is going to respond to that by paying 2 and cracking his Myriad Landscape to fetch 2 lands. Then, Illuna's ability is going to trigger, and she'll exile the top card of her library until she hits a non-land permanent. She'll get Trigon Predator and put it onto the battlefield. She'll move to combat and attack me with her commander. Having no creatures with flying, I take another 6 commander damage. After that, she'll pass a turn. Fate's going to start by playing a forest, then he'll tap 9 mana to cast N'Garuk's Wake to destroy all creatures and planeswalkers he don't control. Then he's going to cast one of his commanders, Cazur, Ruthless Stalker. He moves to combat and attacks me with his Blight Mamba and sends his Keeper of Fables over to Ashley. He'll put a counter on each attacking creature thanks to his commander. He'll draw 2 cards from Keeper of Fables, and then he'll pass the turn to me. I'm going to start my turn by playing a Temple of Mystery tapped and scrying 1 to the bottom. Then I recast my commander Volo. Welcome back, big guy. We missed you. From there, I'm going to cast Nature's Lore to go ahead and fetch a forest to play. After that, I cast Garruk's Uprising, which allows me to draw a card whenever a creature with power 4 or greater comes into play under my control. It also gives all of my creatures trample. With nothing left to do, I fix my mana and pass the turn. Bear is going to start by playing a Snow-Covered Forest. Then he casts Masked Vandal, choosing to exile his Phantasmal Bear in order to exile my Panharmonicon. After that, he's going to cast Patriarch's Bidding. This allows each player to choose a creature type and bring back every creature of that type. He of course names bears. Ashley gets back her old Gnawbone. Fate has no creatures in the yard, and I'm going to return my Myr Battlesphere, which will come with 4 Myr tokens. And then I get to draw a card thanks to Garruk's Uprising. After that, he's going to pass a turn. Ashley's going to go ahead and play a forest and then recast Urabrask, giving all of her creatures haste and forcing our creatures to come in tapped. After that, she's going to cast Yavi Maya Dryad to fetch a Rimewood Falls and put it into play tapped. From there, she'll move to combat and send 9 damage my way. Now I can't block any of it, but I respond by sacrificing the treasure I have and casting Pongify, targeting her Old Gnawbone. Old Gnawbone gets destroyed, and I'll take the 2 damage from the forest walking Yavi Maya Dryad. Ashley will get a 3/3 monkey in place of her Old Gnawbone. Fair trade. She'll pass her turn from there. Fate's gonna start by playing Exiled Catacomb. Then he casts Song of Freyalise. After that, he'll recast his commander, Kima, Stalking Shadow, which will enter tap. Then he'll tap out to hard cast the Deep Sea Kraken for the 2nd time. Really flexing that mana. That's gonna end his turn. He'll pass it my way. I'm going to start my turn by playing Rejuvenating Springs as my land drop, then I'll cast Drowner of Hope, creating a copy of it from Volo, thanks Volo, and getting 4 1/1 Eldrazi creature tokens that can be sacrificed for mana. They'll all enter tapped, and I'll draw 2 cards from Garruk's Uprising. Then I'll cast Amphi Mutineer, and he'll come in with a twin, allowing me to exile 2 creatures and give their controllers a 4/3 Salamander. I choose Urabrask and one of my Eldrazi creature tokens. When the 4/3 Sally ETBs, I'll draw a card. After that, I'll cast Phyrexian Metamorph, and thanks to Volo, it'll come in with a twin. Thanks Volo. One will come in as a copy of Myr Battlesphere, giving me 4 more Myr tokens, and the other will come in as a copy of Drowner of Hope, giving me 2 more Eldrazi tokens. I'll draw 2 more cards and move to combat. I send one of my Myr Battlesphere at Ashley, tapping 8 Myr creatures to add 8 to its power and deal 8 damage directly to her face. She'll block with both of her tokens and take 6 trample damage, killing my Myr Battlesphere. After that, I'll cast Arcane Signet and end my turn. Bear's gonna start by recasting Icon of Ancestry. After that, he'll cast Rumor Gatherer, then he'll cast River Bear, and pass the turn after that. Ashley's gonna start her turn by playing a Storm-Carved Coast as her land drop, then she'll cast her commander, Illuna. If she flips into anything that can buff her commander, she'll be able to take me out of the game with commander damage. She flips into a Gem Raiser with her commander's ability, which she decides to put into her hand. She'll move to combat and swing her commander my way for 6 more commander damage. After that, she'll pass the turn. Fate's gonna start his turn by upticking Freyalise, then he'll cast Kodama of the West Tree. After that, he casts Hagra Constrictor, giving all of his creatures that have a +1/+1 counter, Menache. From there, he'll move to combat, and then he makes a deal with Ashley to take her out of the game so that I don't get the satisfaction. The audacity. He sends enough damage to take her out of the game and sends the Deep Sea Kraken at me. He moves to his second main phase and casts Ichor Claw Myr. After that, he'll finish putting his counters on everything and pass the turn over to me. And I'm not going to waste anybody's time, I'm just going to start my turn and go ahead and cast Crater Hoof Behemoth. And with Volo, I'll get a copy. That will give me a massive overrun, as all of my creatures will get more than +40, +40, and have trample. That'll go ahead and conclude the game. Hope you all enjoyed the gameplay. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you all at the table.